Christ, the great Redeemer. We thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us here today. We ask your blessings and your guidance upon our deliberations in behalf of the citizens of this parish. These and other blessings we ask in your Son's Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag, render the proper salute, and say along with me,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker called and said she would not be able to be here today. Do you have any agenda additions? Seeing none, we move to citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. And I have 3 cards here. First one I have is Don Bailey. Please give us your name and address.
Good afternoon, I'm Don Bailey. My address is 222 Lake Street with the Times as the publisher. This afternoon I just wanted to come in and formally request that the Times be brought back to being the official journal for the parish of Caddo for the legal organs, legal advertising. I am new to town. I am taking over a position that I've heard that in the past there's been issues, and I will tell you that today, the Times, we do want to do business with Caddo Parish. We want to be your legal organ. One thing I would like to point out is that in a recent survey that we got back at the first of this year, we still reach, on an average month, 8 out of 10 people in Caddo. That is because we're a 7-day paper. We also have multiple digital platforms that allows us to reach the market. One of the things that, our role in the community is to help the citizenry to realize that how is our government investing our money, and with legal advertising, our goal is to make sure that legals get out to as many people as possible in a timely manner. And with the Times, we're able to do that for you. We have put in a very competitive proposal to help you this year, and all I can ask is for you to give us a chance to serve you as we have in the past, and to let us, as the daily newspaper in downtown. One of the things I would also like to point out is that we've invested a lot in the downtown community. The new physical plant for our production facility, we chose to keep in downtown Shreveport. The other thing, we have 160-something employees that serve this newspaper and the community. Another thing I would like to point out is that in Gannett, there are a lot of honors that are bestowed on our newspapers, and we just found out at the end of last week that the Shreveport Times is up for one of the most distinguished awards, and that is our Diversity Award for our newspaper group, for our work in diversity for our employees and our group. With that, again, we want to serve you and serve the citizens of Caddo Parish. With the fact that we are a 7-day newspaper, we are the largest, and on an average day, 100,000 plus people in our community have access to our information.
Okay, I've got a couple commissioners. Jennifer, we had Mr. Smith up there. Did he go away? He was up there. You didn't go away?
I ain't hitting nothing either.
And
I punched the button. I didn't hit mine.
Okay. I saw Mr. Smith first.
Yeah,
but you don't have anything? Okay.
Not me either.
You neither? Okay, Mr. Williams, nothing. Mr. Dominic was next.
First question, what is the difference between just a line and a gate line or agate line? How do you say that?
An agate line?
Yes.
It's basically the same thing. It's the actual line that appears on each line of the legal. It's the way it's counted, but a line is a line no matter.
Will y'all charge, will the Times be charging for, we do the proof of publication, and it has to have a notary work? Is that Will that be free or will that be charged?
No, that is in the rate that you pay. That is included in that rate.
That is included in the the bid that y'all got?
Yes.
Okay, that was really the only question I had.
Mr. Cox?
I can just say that since I've been here, the Times has done us a good job when they are giving the contractor the bid. I would ask that each commissioner go in line and when the vote comes up, endorse your paper to be our legal journal. And I appreciate all that y'all have done for us. When we needed you, you were there, good and bad. You know, you got to report the news. We understand that.
Thank you.
But as overall, I think over the last 9 years that I've been here, y'all have done an excellent job, and I appreciate the good job that y'all doing. You've got an excellent reporter covering us.
Thank you. And just to touch on what you said, I tell people frequently on any given day, if we make half the people happy and half the people unhappy, we're doing our job as a daily newspaper. So we can take the hits when we deserve them. Thank you.
Today. Welcome to the community, first off. What's your font size in comparison to what the Sun used? Do you know?
I'm going to have to look behind me. I think it's 10 point, correct? It's 10 point. And to be honest with you, the Vivian paper, I have not seen a copy of it, so
It's a slightly larger font. Does anybody know that? That's right. It is. It's a slightly larger font. Well, my second question is...
Well, the font size is...
No, the font size has nothing to do with it. See, we do this every year, and the Times has had it some years, and the Sun, and I'm an old advertising guy, and I look at bang for the buck, cost per thousand and all, and your aggregate agate line rate has always been higher, and then you really have to make the bang for the buck argument on numbers reached and all that. That hadn't flown too well, but this is the first time that I can remember you're actually less. Your bid is less. Actually, yeah, it is less. So,
well, we wanted to show our commitment.
where'd the change of heart? Did Caddo start becoming real profitable again or something? I mean, 'cause that's 3 cents a line difference. That's significant. In the past, you've been higher.
Well, I appreciate you supporting us
You
being
just want
lower.
the business? You're committed to the community? Is that what you're...
Absolutely, and we are very committed to this community, and that's why we continue to invest in the community. That's why we continue to do what we do in Shreveport and this community. The newspaper, when we reach the hundreds of thousands of people with the print, and then when you look at the digital side of our business, where we have 7 million plus people page views a month. So there is an investment in the capital to be able to do what we do every day, including the people that we have to employ here. Like I said, we have 160 plus employees that are dedicated to putting out the best product every day in this community.
I'm happy to see that this is a very good bid. We can actually save some money for a change, not having to publish things dually with you, like the sex offender notices and things that just, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we didn't. So I appreciate the bid, and I'll support you. Thank you.
Thank you. And the other part of it, I came from a community or a state that you are not allowed to change the rates. It was set by the state. So I was very happy to find out that you could make it a competitive process here, and that bid is representative of us saying we want to do business with you and we want your support back.
This is Louisiana. You never know who gets the difference.
I know.
Welcome, Louisiana.
I love it here so far.
Throw your pants up.
Well, they told me to take my tie off.
Yes, I certainly wanted to commend the reporter that's covering us now, so I echo that sentiment. Thank you.
Yes, she does a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next speaker, Lisa Lucas.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Lisa Lucas. My address is 9770 Louisiana Highway 2 in Vivian. I'm publisher/editor of Caddo Citizen. At this time, I would like to say I appreciate the Commission the last year for allowing us to serve as legal journal. It's been a good year. I hope to maintain the good working relationships that have developed in the past year. As a reminder, Once again, the Caddo Citizen also does not charge for notarization or proof of publication. That saved the commission an average of about $2,000 this year by doing so. I would like to point out that the Caddo Citizen also works diligently to keep prices moderate for the citizens that are required to run legal publications. This goes to help aid the commission in serving the public for its needs. By choosing the Caddo Citizen as your official legal journal, it's my promise that we will continue to serve the commission with a high standard of customer service as well as a gracious attitude. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, and thank you so much.
All right, did you not want to?
She answered what I was...
Okay, Ms. Lynch?
I know Dominic thinks you're a great paper, obviously.
Thank you. One thing I would like to point out, and I may, I'm not 100%, the way that it was explained to me when I came back on with the newspaper, and if I offend anybody, I apologize off the bat, but it's my understanding an agate line, there are 14 agate lines in a column inch because we charge 23 cents per agate line and $3.36 per column inch. So when we bill you guys, it comes out $3.36 per column inch. I will double check on that, but that's always been my understanding. So please keep that in mind. And
Let me ask you, how long have you been the editor?
this time 2 years, prior to this 8 years.
Oh, okay. I'm it's usually just a representative from the Caddo Citizen that comes.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, even though we're voting Caddo Citizen Shreveport Sun. Is there a particular reason?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I had thought that the Sun was going to be here with me today. It was my understanding that we're going to be. We are still partnering with the Sun under the same agreement.
Okay. Well, I know we have a couple of weeks, but can you make sure that a representative from there is here with you when we vote?
I certainly will. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Epperson?
I'm always looking at basically a cost directly to a citizen, and what I like about the weekly papers are, you can get a year's subscription, for less than $25.
Yes, sir.
You know when the official journal is going to be there. You don't have to have a whole bunch of papers and guess and getting them stacked up.
Right.
And the same way, so my reason for supporting that is combined with you and the Sun, the price for a yearly subscription is minor, and I think it's in the best interest of the citizens and people that are interested in the official journal. We know exactly where they can go to it. You don't have to look through 30-something papers and try to find it.
Yes, sir.
So I'll be supporting
Thank you so
the
much.
Sun and the Citizen.
What is the circulation like in Southern Hills? Because I can tell you, I've never seen your paper.
It's broken down by zip code. I don't have that number directly off the top of my head. I can get it for you. The Caddo Citizen specifically has a box on North Market, but through the Shreveport Sun, we're generated all over Caddo Parish and all over the town of Shreveport or city of Shreveport.
So you can't, off the top of your head, just tell me on a normal run how many papers y'all sell?
On a normal run, I believe we're at 1,600.
1,600.
Yes, sir.
To
Mail
cover
out,
the
just
whole
mail
parish?
out.
To cover the whole parish?
No, sir. Off the rack and mail out are two different categories. It's I would have to check the numbers. I apologize.
Okay. If you don't mind, when you come back, just have those numbers for us.
Specifically Southern Hills?
Yes.
Sure.
Mr. Epperson, are you up again?
If no one else, I just want a second go-around, if I might.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to state, the official journal is something that you have to want. It's almost like the editorial page. I did a little research on the editorial page. Now, I love it. I love Editunes. I love the editorial page because I'm in politics. That's an interest to me. I subscribe to several newspapers. This is something that you have to want and have a need for. I don't care if you have 160,000 copies everywhere in Shreveport. If you aren't specifically looking for the official journal, probably 99.899% of people don't even know what the hell it is. So this is something that you have to want, and I think the ones that are interested in it, they will be quite satisfied with the weekly papers. So, thank you.
Mr. Escobar.
The figure that you've got here that is at least in our packet was you have paid subscription for 2011 of $1133. That's the number that's here. The number provided, and they've got a 5-year history, and then the Sun's got a 5-year history of 5,000. It hasn't changed at all. So that's total 6133.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So, though I appreciate Mr. Epperson's observation, he's probably right. Most people may not care about this. I don't know why we would want to spend more money to reach 6,100 people when we could spend less money and reach 53,000 people. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too, years ago, supported the Caddo Seal when I first came up on the commission years ago. The lowest bid and not always the best bid. And plus, these are some small business newspapers who've been in our existence for over the years and has done a fantastic job, and a lot of the big boys that run the little boys out of business. Look at Mr. Walmart. He run the mom and pop stores out of my neighborhood, gone because of people like Mr. Wall. I like Mr. Wall. He's a good business person. But the mom and pop business stores are running out of business because the big boys are eating them up. So we have to maintain our integrity and our small business in our community. Shreveport's time is a big boy. They've done a great job in providing, getting the news out. I know they have a bigger base to reach. But I don't see no reason just to change just for the sake of change. They've been doing a fantastic job. We haven't had any problems with it. And I hope we will continue to support our small business in our community. And small business is the backbone of our community, of the nation.
Yes, sir.
And we can't continue to, we should be in the interest of trying to save dollars. I know that is true. However, it's been my conscience that the lowest bid ain't always the best bid. And unfortunately, we have to make a very intelligent decision today, and my vote will be going for Caddo Seal in the Shreveport Sun. Thank you.
All right, we have no other commissioners wishing to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anthony Gregory.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Gregory, and I live at 906 Kirby Place, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a 2-year resident of Shreveport, came here from Louisiana Tech University and from Alexandria before that. I'm here to speak to you guys today. Apparently you guys have found it within your hearts to possibly offer us a Econoline van to allow our rugby team to travel and represent Shreveport all over the Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Nebraska, Glendale, Colorado, places that we've been representing the city. I'd just like to give you a little history of our rugby club. We're 35 years old, founded here in Shreveport. Very, very, very vociferous support from our older boys and lots of younger guys getting involved. We've got a high school area rugby team also that we're coordinating, a couple guys from Loyola, a few guys from Captain Shreve, maybe a couple guys from Bird. We're trying to get involved there in order to allow us to have kind of like a pipeline to build with. We were number 18 in the country this year, and there's a lot of teams out there, let me tell you. We traveled to Omaha, Nebraska, and, you can't blame the referees. We could have done a little bit better ourselves, but, we had a little bit of a shortfall there. Although we did, get further than, lots of other teams, and we feel like we went and we represented Shreveport well. Mr. Lynn mentioned the scar on my face. I was very vigorously representing Shreveport this weekend in Dallas, Texas. We ended up losing in the semifinal round this weekend. But the real reason we're here today is that you guys, like I said, we're possibly going to offer us a surplus van to use. We would really appreciate it if we could. We go out and we play all different kinds of places in order to bring other teams back here to Shreveport. We host about 10 to 12 home matches a year. Each time someone comes in, they're bringing their 23-man roster, plus about 5 or 10 supporters, plus their family members, plus just people that want to come out and just watch rugby, because a lot of folks don't even know what it is. They just say, oh, what are you guys doing, hitting each other with no pads on, you know what I mean? In order for us to better bring folks back to Shreveport, in order for us to better support the community, it would be a world of weight off of our shoulders if we could have one van instead of, one Suburban, a two-door Civic, and an extended cab truck with 18 guys crammed in it, trying to get up and down the highways. Also, it'd be good for camaraderie, just for everyone to travel together, game planning. Who knows, maybe we'll even bring a national championship back here to Shreveport one of these days. We already appreciate the support that you guys have given us and SPAR has given us at AC Steer, allowing us to call that our home pitch, which we very much enjoy and we very regularly defend well. But like I said, in order for us to bring more people here to Shreveport, in order for us to have a greater, impact on the community as far as our Northwest Youth Rugby Organization is concerned, this would make it a whole lot easier for us. Just brass tacks about it. I could sit here and regale you guys with many different stories and many different good times that we've had on the Shreveport Rugby Club, but I know business is business, and this is about what's going to make Shreveport better. We are, in fact, very recognizable here around the city. A lot of guys will say, "Hey, aren't you guys on the rugby team?" "Oh, I've heard about that rugby team." This, that, and the other. We do, like I said, we're doing our best to get recruiting with the younger guys here in the high school community in order to bring in more support and more people to, essentially watch Shreveport and support our local businesses. Every time a team comes in, like I said, we've got many different family members, so that's hotel rooms, that's fine dining and eating here in the city. Also, a little bit downtown, quote unquote, after the matches and whatnot. So, I don't know what else I can say to you guys besides thank you for the support that you've given us, and hopefully you guys will find it within yourselves to support us even further with this van. If there's any questions that anyone had, I'd be more than willing to answer them for anyone.
Ms. Lynch?
Let me say, I just like a man that can use some big words. You just got me. I want to throw some money in there. What's the
I would say the average age is somewhere between 26 and 27 years old. I myself am 27. We've got a couple of gentlemen. We've got Drew Tomzak over there, who's our coach. He also plays with us. We won't mention how old he is, but we've got a couple of gentlemen his age out there playing. And then like I said, we've got a couple of the high school guys, 15, running around.
I don't have any money today, but I'm gonna give you this application here, baby. Take this home with you. I have to help you all out next year.
What's the eHarmony census?
I
always said you do anything for a pretty lady, so I'll be more than happy to help you out, Miss Lynch.
He's a diplomat.
I don't think you're going to have problems. I'll be supporting it.
Very, very much. We appreciate it.
Mr. Williams? Well, thank you, Chairman. I'm looking at, work on these muscles here, but anyway.
This is all my dad. This is all my dad. It's not me, I promise.
You'll be getting my support, but if you need some players, I think we can get our President Thibodeau, and Mr. Lyndon B. Johns. You need some extra.
Hey, y'all come on out there. I'll tell you what, it's all technique. Technique is what does it. I'm telling you what.
Mr. Lynn.
I'm going to make an amendment to supplement that van with Commissioner Lynch.
Oh, absolutely.
Package deal.
I've been in a van with 18 men.
Mr. Escobar?
Since legal has advised us, or I'm of the opinion that this is an appropriate donation, even though it's unusual, I'm going to use it under the auspices of continued public relations and economic development as to justify my reason for supporting it. But I notice you are the Shreveport Rugby Club. I would request humbly that somewhere prominently on the back of that van you put Caddo, Parish, Louisiana somewhere.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, sir.
All right. Thank you.
But be sure that you take it off where it breaks down.
Yeah, when it's broken down, leave the city of
Mr. Jefferson?
It shows that great minds think alike. Mr. Escudate think like I was thinking.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I was suggesting, that you compliments of the Caddo Parish Commission.
Absolutely,
and
sir.
I will seal.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
Anything that you guys request of us, we are willing to take care of and do.
Mr. Lynn? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all very much for your time. I really did appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Visitors, we have Mr. Commissioner Epperson, you have a guest. Mr. John Bork.
Have Mr. John Bork. He's going to give us a brief presentation relative to the giant Sylvania. Even though I had spoken with Mr. Raymond, he stated with the lack of rain, the proliferation of it isn't as big of a problem as it had been in the past. However, I think it's something that we still do not need to forget about. So we'd like for Mr. Bork to make this presentation. Hopefully it'll be something that we might can do, even with the low growth rate of it now, that we might could do something now that might completely eradicate it. So he has it. Mr. Bork, if you might state your name and address for the record, and you might proceed with your presentation.
My name is John Bork, and I live in M Grove on 2100, zip code 71051. And I'm an inventor of the water mower. It's a harvester that harvests Sylvania, and what it does is it picks it up. I can pick it up, grind it, and set it back into the water. I know we've been using spraying, and I know we've been using the bugs, but this machine doesn't use no chemical at all. I mean, when I pick it up, and when it releases it from the machine, it's dead. I mean, but anyway, I had a tape here that I would like to show you how it works. And we've been to the Capitol. Patrick Williams, Representative Patrick Williams, and I went down there and went for the board of the Appropriation Committee, who has, they had agreed to use it. It was approved, and also the Natural Resources, where Wildlife and Fishery came up and testified that I do kill the product, and they testified it 3 times. And we're going to try to play. We tried it a while ago, but it didn't get to play. Okay, and so here's the machine, if it works. I mean, here's the, I hope it works, so we can see it. Okay, but anyway, what I have, I brought some samples, which I don't know if you guys. There we go. There we go. Cool. Let's see.
Newest number since 2006. There's something about kids, nice to finish. Offer salvation from Sardinia. The Shire reviewed at the giant Sardinia plant spreading across some architects' lakes. John Bork has an invention called the water mower. It works by sucking up and chopping up the greenery, which then settles on the bottom of the water. Today, Bork started testing his mower on Lake Bistineau, which should take about 3 weeks to finish this process. And thank goodness for Mr. Bork. Yeah. New invention. Hope we got it patented. And hope it works like he intends it to. And it's becoming a big menace. It strangles the lake tash. It's what it does. Sucks up all the oxygen, all that stuff. Not good. Not good. Yeah. And weather-wise, our is pretty much quiet around it.
Okay, here we go. Then you got another one.
And Greenway, the treatment plant doesn't fail. It's a hydraulic shredder attached to a pontoon boat that grinds up giant Sylvania like a blender, and then shoots it out as a mist that will sink to the bottom of the lake. Wildlife and Fisheries is checking samples of the mist to make sure the plant won't leak in. In the meantime, Wildlife and Fisheries is drawing down Lake Bistineau to help fight the Sylvania problem there. And they say the unusually cold winter has killed off more of the plant than expected, dropping it to its lowest levels there. So
This is Representative Williams, who was out me over there in Lake Bistineau, and we took it out in the water.
Get closer to the mic, please. Closer to the mic, right there. That's mic. Come on up. There you go.
Stop it. Stop
Go ahead.
Okay, and
Okay, state your name.
My name is John Bork, and
you will see it actually cutting
I
it out.
invented a harvester that picks up this Sylvania. It's going to cut it, mulch it up, puts it back in the water, and it's dead. 3 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we had it tested by Wildlife and Fishery. 6 months later, I called them. and it was done. In other words, it killed it. Once it sinks to the bottom, it has no sunlight, and it can't regenerate. It can't do nothing but dead. It's dead. And anyway, this product here is, for instance, this here is a one pod, and if you see it's a floater, they call it a floater, and that's all it does. And if I'll pick it up, well, too bad I couldn't get closer, but I will pick it up and show you the roots. And it doesn't make a big root. It's just about 2 to 3 inches. If you're looking at it, it's about 2 to 3 inch root. But when it traps itself in a canal or around trees, the wind, what it does, the wind picks the pod up, and the other pod goes underneath, and it goes underneath, and then it starts, building up to about 6 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches. So when wildlife and fishery comes to spray, they spray the top surface. 2 weeks later, if it all died, it pops up to the surface. So you've still got all these layers. That's why the only way we can do this is just to control it. I mean, it's an epidemic. So the only thing, even wildlife knows this, that they can spray it, but they still have to come back and spray it. So they spray one time. I don't know what it costs. It's costing $1,700 an acre. Then after 2 weeks, they have to come back and spray it again. And then they'll do that 7 times, just on and on. But the next day, you can come and it'd be gone because it's on the other side of the lake. So that's what's bad, to trap it, to stay with it, they have to be with it all the time, So the wild fishers don't have enough members and boats and all that to keep spraying. And I say this. I say cut it. You right then and there, you see it, it's gone. I mean, it's gone. I mean, your mulching is gone, and you don't have 2 weeks, and there's no poison, and it's just, that's it, We'll take it out and show you what it does.
This is Representative Williams, who filmed it.
It's going to be a little noisy. Thank you.
Good technology. We don't need to hit the bill. That's your presentation?
Yeah, well, I just want it's going to come up and then that'll be it. Okay? He's going to show coming up the belt, and he's going to show you how it looks in the water, and it's gone. It's over. And when it passes, you look behind you, and it's gone. There's nothing left. I mean, it cleans it. Cut 6 foot.
When you say 6 foot,
6 foot wide. It cuts 6 foot wide, and it cuts like a 1.5 foot deep. But you don't have to really do that. Once you break the surface, it rises to the top, and then you just keep cutting. It keeps coming to you. And that's what's good about this product. What the product does, the wind takes it, and it just brings it to you. The wind, it just floats like a big old kite. This thing just floats in the water. Anyway, I have samples, but I was hoping it showed you a little. I was going to try to cut it down a little bit. In your mind, I'm going to show y'all what the product looks like. What are we fighting?
No.
This is the little tiny babies that people don't realize. They're real tiny. Okay, you see them? And if people be fishing and they won't, they're not really.
Talk about science.
Oh, okay, all right. They're real,
I guess the question I have, so your machine can actually go out in the water. You're actually.
Correct, that's right. That's what I'm doing. Look,
Have y'all done anything in Caddo?
Well, we went on wild fish. Put this out there. But let me show you something else that people won't know. This is the seed. This is the little plants that we worried about. See the little seeds? Every one of these is a plant. So what they do is they just lay up, okay? And then they get bigger and bigger. Now they're going to make a plant. In 7 days, they're going to double. So if you have 15, then you got 30 in 7 days.
Being there across Lake Hill?
So, yeah, it's all over.
Now, have you done any of
No.
He said you wait on wildlife and fisheries.
Look, this is what it does. See how it's cutting it? See, it's gone.
Mr. Bork,
There it is on the back.
we've got some questions from the commissioners. Let them ask the questions.
Good.
Mr. Dominic?
When is, and this is very informative, but how are you supposed to get this done? I mean, obviously you're not going to do it for free. I mean, are you waiting for the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to enter into some type of contract with you to go do Cross Lake or say Caddo Lake or something like that?
Because, what you're doing is you're paying for the spraying.
Right.
Okay. And what I'll do is, I can do.
What are we waiting on? What are
that's what we're waiting on. I mean, that's something.
They said that. Has Wildlife and Fisheries said this is a go, but it's just going to take a little while, or are they still trying to look at it some more, or?
Sir, like I said, that's something we would have to call Wildlife and Fisheries. I've been waiting for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. And it works. And so what we're going to do is Representative.
I guess the question is, what do you need from us other than you're being informed?
Well, what I'm saying is, I would like to go out and demonstrate, to y'all and show you how it works and show you how we can save money for the state. Because what I'm saying, once you keep
say state, not
state, but I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry.
All right.
But for
the taxpayers, for the citizens, of our parents.
That's correct, for the parents. But what I'm saying is, I can save money because once you kill it, it's gone. But the deal is, you have to keep killing it until you can control it. So we were spraying.
What you're telling me, I mean, I'm very familiar with it. I mean, I'm a commissioner of Caddo Lake and Bite Lake, Bayou, and I see it all the time, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. And so what we do is, whenever they spray it.
Smith, and I think every commissioner up here knows what it looks like.
Okay, so when they spray it, and you know that, it just pops right back up. So when you cut it, you drop it, it's gone. Well, the other boats that y'all had used, I think 2 years ago or a year ago, they would pick it up, bring it to the bank, and then have a place to get rid of it. You know what I mean? It was costing y'all.
All right, let me ask you another question.
Okay,
will this work on anything else, like hydrilla or some of those other plants?
Yeah, if the ones with the they called the one with the flowers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If it hits it, it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so whatever goes in that cutter, it comes out. It's just like a big blender. That's what it is.
Just don't put your hand in it. Just don't put your hand in it, right?
No, don't put your hand in it. Well, anyway, so I had to design three cutters, and then once I design it.
Let's get the other questions.
Okay, shoot.
Ms. Bowman?
Commissioner Dominic asked one of the questions that I had, so this is basically your sales pitch, right, to us?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just, like I said, I just like to get it in the water and start putting it to work and help the state and us, so we can reuse our lakes again. Because it's down in Baton Rouge, down south, and so what down south is doing is kind of looking up here for Lake Vista to see how they're going to solve that problem of killing it, and trying to control it. Well, that's really waiting for us to solve it, and then they're going to start using it.
Do you know why it has taken the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries so long to get back with you? Didn't you say Representative Williams was helping you? Couldn't he?
And he is.
Put some fire on them, or?
He's been doing a great job. It's Wildlife and Fisheries.
4 years?
Ma'am, we've been having problems with Wildlife and Fisheries.
Yeah, but
okay. That's what I'm saying. So Wildlife and Fisheries really don't want to use it. They want poison.
I don't believe that. How much would your system?
That machine there would cost you $450 an hour, and that's 3,600, 8 hours a day. And we can cut an acre an hour, and that puts you, around about $450 an acre. And the reason why we charge by the hour, ma'am, is that it goes by the wind. So if I get in this lot at 1 acre, I can sit there and cut, and when the wind's blowing, I can just keep, I can just sit in there and they'll just keep bringing it to me, into that 1 acre. So you can't really say how much I actually killed, but you can watch it and just watch it. And wherever the back end is just clearing up.
Okay, when you go back after a certain period of time, after you chopped all of this up,
okay,
how long does it take before others just come up over
Well,
there.
that's the deal, you know, once you keep it up and keep cutting, then you're hoping to get rid of it, you know? So the more you cut and kill, you know, it just starts getting smaller and smaller amount, you know what I mean? No, we'll never get rid of it, because it gets caught up in trees, it gets caught up underneath logs, you know? And so when it gets bad, put the machine back in there and start cutting again.
So it would be a continuous thing, you're not just eliminating it?
No, ma'am, it will be. That's the problem with this plant. You know, we can't get rid of it. So, but we can control it, you know, and that's why I say, kill it, you know, let the people enjoy the lakes, but don't stop in the summertime. You need to do it while it's in dormant in the wintertime. You know, keep cutting it, you know, until you can get it under control.
Thank you, Mike.
Next question.
We have several speakers. Let me suggest that since probably before the commission would ever do anything, we'd have an opportunity to see what it actually operates, and you would also have an opportunity to speak to our staff, and they could do some financial give financial information to us as to whether it's something we want to do or not. So if we can, let's try to be general in our questions and not get too specific, or we're going to be here for a long time. Mr. Lynn?
You said that it chops it up and then sends it to the bottom of the lake. What happens to it at the bottom of the lake? What happens to the bottom feeders?
It just, you know, what happens is it just erodes and just goes away. Look, this is the product out there. This is what it looks like when it's cut.
Can't get any sunlight, it dies.
Look, this is what it looks like.
But it doesn't affect the catfish?
No.
They're fine, they're not harmed?
Fine, the fish are fine, everybody's, you know, anyway, this is what it looks like when it comes out of the machine. And we're talking about within minutes.
Don't wash it out.
Anyway, so that's why I'm saying, kill it, quit playing with it. You know, just try to keep it under control.
Mr. Epperson?
Mr. President, I agree with you. I think, to me, I've heard enough at this point in time. I think it's something we need to discuss among ourselves and staff, and we'll make a decision in the future.
Okay. Mr. Cox?
I was going to basically say the same thing. We need to get within ourselves and ask Mr. Raymond to participate, get his opinion on it. I've seen your machine. First time I ever saw it, I said this is what needs to be done. The only question I had really was, in the closer to the bank you get, you're limited as far as you have to be out in the open, from what I saw.
Yeah, about 20 feet, something like that, you're right. And yeah, as long as it has a room for a boat to move, you can do it.
Okay. I would make the same suggestion and just work on this and get the, which one was holding it up?
Department of Fisheries and Wildlife.
Yeah, well, I find out what their problem is with a letter from the president and the administration, and find out what their problem is, because how bad is our lakes, Mr. Raymond, how bad is our problem? How bad is our problem still?
Right now, it's not too bad. And Caddo Lake was the one where we had most of our problems.
Yes, sir.
And right now, it's not, but we're getting into the time of the year
We're
when
road.
the worst without seeing flawless.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Escovitch?
I'll go along with that. I think we need to study it further. The most obvious question in my mind is that if I understood him correctly, he said it costs the state $1,700 an acre to do it with chemical, and other chemicals $2,000 a gallon. It's quite expensive. And if he can do it for $450 an acre, I don't know what the holdup is. So there's something missing here that we need to investigate to see what we can maybe do to facilitate this. Because if it's as you say it is, then this is a no-brainer. It's more of a permanent solution because we spray every year.
That's correct.
And as Mr. Raymond said, Caddo Lake is coming back already. Boy, it looked good during the winter, toward the latter part of the winter, but it's coming back. And I only passed over there 2 or 3 times a week on that bridge, but since I don't go every day, just a couple of times, 2 or 3 times a week, you can see it. You see it moving, see it spreading. So we'll look into it more.
Mr. Williams?
I think everybody's summed it up, but here I just want to say we can't be afraid to test innovation and technology. And, our water is our most precious resource and is environmental friendly. I don't see nothing wrong with exploring innovation and technology with this gentleman here. Plus, he's from Shreveport. He may have these all over the world. So I think we need to give him an opportunity to show what he can do. And if he, if he can't do what he can do, we go back to what we started off with. But this is new. This is innovation. I love it. Let's experiment. Let's try it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynch?
Yeah, I didn't mean to come across as real squeamish, but you and Larry Raymond would make great friends because he likes all kind of animals and raccoons and all that kind of stuff too. But certainly I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. A lot of times people look to us to bring things to them, and we don't a lot of times get innovative ideas, and people coming to us wanting to help us save money, at least from the citizenry. And so I really do appreciate you because, these lights and the telephone and all of that started somewhere. And there was an idea that somebody had, and, over the process of time, was implemented and changed the course of history. And so certainly this is a problem that is not just germane to Louisiana. Texas is having a problem in some other areas, and it's not going away. And so, just based on what you described, I'm ready to, check out everything and willing to try it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Board.
Mr. Ken, I thank you for letting me come out here and talk to the committee, and it was a wonderful day.
Your film wasn't exciting as Joyce's, though, on the alligator. Oh, my goodness.
And you couldn't buy you Sylvania in the hood.
Yeah, Sylvania in the hood.
All right. Mr. Wilson, Administrative Report.
President Thibodeau, Commissioners, good afternoon. In most recent past, we had some discussions about the parking situation downtown. And today we have as our guest Ms. Liz Swain, who's the Director for the Downtown Development Authority, to give us an update on the parking situation downtown here. So Liz, would you come forward, please?
I would. Woody, thank you so much. It's great being here today. I've just got a 45-minute presentation. Is that okay?
No, you don't.
If you don't mind giving it to Wimpy, will you?
She's aware of the trap door at the podium there.
Former news lady, she know how to handle a bit.
What you're
Go with
fixing to show?
Sardinia.
Do we have a hard copy of what you're fixing to show?
You do not, but I can send you one. Absolutely can. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Liz Swain, 401 Edwards Street, Suite 205, Shreveport 71101. And thank you so much for letting me be here today. When I took the job with the Downtown Development Authority, I was told several times, over and over again, that we don't have a parking problem downtown. That we have about 12,000 parking spaces downtown, and we don't have a parking problem. And the only people who have a problem with parking downtown are those people who are too lazy to walk 2 or 3 blocks. And we don't have a parking problem downtown. And guess what? That's not true. We've got a parking problem downtown. But the problem with the problem is that this parking problem is creating an economic development issue for us. So I'd like for you to be thinking about this in terms of economic development. When we realized that we were impacting economic development, when we realized that we were losing jobs, that we were losing businesses, and we were losing opportunities for redevelopment of historic buildings downtown, we commissioned a national company to do a parking study for us. And the parking study was done in January and February of this year, so these are very fresh numbers. This is nothing that was done a year ago. And I just wanted to come down and share this with you. We studied 2 sections of downtown because we know that these are sections of downtown that have a problem currently, but we did not know how bad those problems were. And we wanted to make sure that it was a real problem and not just a perceived problem. Area 1 that you can see on your screen is that area that's up around Southern University. So if Texas Street is sort of the center of it, you see that right there going down the middle is the Caddo Parish Courthouse, if that gives you an idea. Texas, which has Southern University, Art Space, Robinson Film Center, and then it goes a little bit north of that. Area 2, again, the Caddo Parish Courthouse is your center. It includes some incredible historic buildings that we have, the Lane Building, the Johnson Building, the Slattery Building. Most of those buildings are either completely vacant or mostly vacant. The only building right now of those 3 that has anything in it at all is the Lane Building, and it's about 30% occupied. Those are the 2 sections that we studied. for two reasons. First, we wanted to make this something that we could take in bite-sized pieces, and we also wanted to save a little bit of money. And we knew, again, that we had problems in these two areas. So the methodology that this company used, and the company is called Rich & Associates, and they're out of Southfield, Michigan. And this is all they do, folks. They go all over the country, and they do parking studies. They did the parking study for downtown Baton Rouge. They know what they're doing. They've got a history behind them. They've done it for 35 years. They're really the preeminent parking study group in the country. And they used standard methodology. They didn't come in here and invent something crazy just for downtown Shreveport. They did our parking study just like they did Baton Rouge, just like they do all the other cities. So they're getting an apples to apples comparison. What they discovered in these two areas is that we have 4,210 spaces. Sounds like a lot of spaces, doesn't it? But you can see by this color key, and Commissioner Lynch, I will send this to you so you can take a closer look at it. The color key, what it shows you is what these spaces actually are. Only some of these spaces are available for the public. Some of these spaces are fire lanes, some are commercial loading, some are totally private, like the spaces underneath Government Plaza. A member of the public can't just come and park underneath Government Plaza. So even though we have spaces and we counted every single one with feet on the ground, not every single space is available to the public or available to somebody who wants to redo a building or available to someone who wants to bring a company downtown. So we've got 4,200 spaces in that area. Now, this was something that was fascinating to me. I have never been in the business of studying parking. It's not what I've ever done. But they tell me that around the country, municipalities really need to control 50% of the downtown parking. And that municipality can be the city, it can be the parish, or it can be both. Why is that important? It makes sense. If you've got a developer who's going to come in and spend $10 million, let's say on the Johnson building, and they come and they say, Ms. Bowman, I'm going to spend $10 million on this building that has sat vacant for 10 years. It has done nothing for you in terms of taxes. It has done nothing for you in terms of job creation. I'm going to put $10 million into it, but in return, I need for somebody to guarantee me that there are going to be parking spaces for my tenants. Well, folks, right now we can't do that. Neither the parish can do that, nor the city can do that, because right now, in these two study areas, the city basically only controls 11% of parking, and most of that is your metered parking, which is not appropriate for giving to businesses anyhow. You need to keep your metered parking open for people who are coming to the courthouse or coming to pay a bill or coming to Government Plaza. So here were the findings in this study. Well, again, Area 1, Area 2, and they broke it down per block and found out exactly how much we have in terms of parking deficits in each one of these blocks. And what they found is in Area 1, again, which is that Southern University area, and remember that Southern University is bringing their School of Nursing downtown.
Right.
So they're going to be bringing about 300 students downtown that we don't have parking for today. And Robinson Film Center wants to expand, and Art Space is expanding. And the guy who's doing the Sears building and those two buildings next to it, he hasn't even started yet. And he has plans for mixed use, residential, and retail, and some office space. And right now, in Area 1, we're at 187 space deficit. In 5 years, with all of those things that I just talked about, this is the deficit we're looking at, 517 spaces. In Area 2, which is the Lane Building, Slattery Building, Johnson Building, and also the needs of the parish, right now the tax assessor needs 40 spaces that they have not been able to find anywhere. The DA's office needs spaces. The judges need spaces. You know, there are a lot of parish entities who need spaces. In Area 2, our deficit today is 449 spaces, but when these other projects come online, the Lane Building, the Johnson Building, the Slattery Building, and by the way, we have a recent buyer of all three of those buildings with plans to develop them. We're looking at a 650 space deficit. So the findings were scary. And this is another reason why we paid the money to do this parking study. About a year ago, a developer out of Dallas, very well known, who's doing another large project in Shreveport right now, came to us and told us that they were going to auction the Johnson building. Again, this is one of our vacant historic buildings. It's an important building to all of our history into downtown. And they put a contract on that building. And they were planning to put about $10 million into the building to bring it back up to code and to make it a place that people would want to use. They were going to do housing there. And when they tried to find parking, because you know if you're going to rent an apartment, you are unwilling to walk 2 blocks. If you've got a load of groceries and maybe a baby carriage, you're not going to walk 2 blocks to get to your apartment. You want parking that's convenient to it. When they tried to get parking nearby, the parking was priced so that it made the deal fall through. So we lost a $10 million deal. These people basically tore up the contract, said, we can't do it with the parking availability that you have now, and they walked away. It just about killed me. To see $10 million walk away, it just about killed me. But there was nothing that I could do about it at that time. And that's what the findings were. We talked to several developers who said, yeah, we've got great plans, or we would have great plans if we had the parking that would allow us to do it. The other thing that we discovered, and hey, I'm not telling you any secret here, that most people, not only in Shreveport, but in the South, when it's 100 degrees outside, they're not willing to walk more than about 1.5 blocks. If you have to walk any more than about 1.5 blocks to get to parking, it's inconvenient. You're going to take your business or your development elsewhere where you can have parking right next door. It's just the way it is. So what can we do about this? Well, we've got a couple of short-term options, and that's improved downtown parking signage, which is important, and we'll work with the city and other entities on that, and some additional marketing and maps to tell people where parking is available. But what we've got to be thinking about doing is multi-level parking garages. Right. When we're talking about the number of parking, the deficit that we have now, the deficit that we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years, and the fact that we can no longer tear down historic buildings for inefficient surface parking. That's just been crazy the way we've done things in the past. We've torn down these beautiful buildings that cannot be replicated. Once they're gone, they're gone. The historic buildings are part of the reason that people want to come downtown. We can't keep tearing them down for surface parking. And so we've got to do some multi-level parking garages. Well, what do I need from you guys? Good question. Thank you for asking me that, John.
As long as it's not money, Liz.
It ain't just your money,
Pour
John.
some concrete for me.
Okay.
What I need from all of you is just your support and your knowledge of what the situation is in downtown. The more that we all know and the more we can repeat that knowledge to others and explain the situation to others, the better position that we're all in. One of the things that I've been talking to now, we have embarked on a financial feasibility portion of this parking study with Area 1 to see what we would have to do to get to where we need to be for a multi-level parking garage behind Southern University. How much it would cost, who would need to be the partners in it, and right now what we're trying to do is make it as easy and palatable as possible by getting private developers to do the heavy lifting, to put the initial money into it. But we would need to have some guarantees that certain entities would then use spaces in that parking garage, which is pretty easy because, hey, we all need parking anyhow, so it could just simply be a matter of shifting parking from this location to the new multi-level parking garage to make it a reality. So the parish was working on the numbers for Area 1 and got some numbers to me, and we'll be working with them again on numbers for Area 2. And then also to consider that parking truly is an economic development tool. If any of you have been to Baton Rouge lately, downtown Baton Rouge, they've got a couple of new multi-level parking garages. It has opened up some areas that were heretofore not being developed for them, and has made it so that developers are willing to come in and take a chance. Because let's face it, when you're a developer and you're taking on one of these old buildings that's been vacant for 20 or 30 years maybe, you're going to be spending a lot of money. There's just no way around it. You don't know what you're going to find. You don't know ultimately how much it's going to cost to develop that building, and you're taking a leap of faith. So if you can take that parking portion out of it, it makes that leap of faith easier to swallow. Do any of you have any questions? I don't think I only went 40 minutes, so we've got 5 minutes left.
Mr. Williams. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation. I think it's long overdue. I think Commissioner Epperson and Commissioner Escudé was here years ago when we confronted this issue, but we never got off the ground level as of yet. I know it's difficult for you as a director because you don't have the tool to be an effective marketing for downtown, because one of the questions developers asked about the parking. I saw what parking is done just for the boardwalk itself. It's an attraction, and it's not a deterrent. It's a draw because if you can't park, you can't buy, you can't sell. And to forecast our future, what's forthcoming, such as the housing, the school, bringing downtown back to life, we're going to have to address this parking issue. And it is an economic development tool because the return we get on an investment, developers going to want to invest in downtown, then uptown start growing as well.
Yes.
There's so much exciting things happening in Caddo and Shreveport with I-49. Hopefully we get an Amtrak. We can get our airport situation together and people coming back home to do business here. I want to commend you on your vision for downtown. You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
Hope we can find some common ground. We're going to address our parking issue, develop a partnership with you, the city, and the parish, and some private sector to address this ongoing problem. And the little guys running around with them little ticket books, they might not have many tickets to write. Would this be an affordable, you said a multi-dwelling facility, affordable parking? Because one of the things, when you go to New Orleans in a big city, they kill you on parking. And I'm saying, how it'd be affordable parking? How would you come up with a figure amount that's affordable and feasible for people who want to park down here?
Very preliminary numbers are $2 an hour for parking in a brand new covered multi-level parking garage, which is a pretty good deal. Market rate for this section of downtown, which is the section we're talking about, is anywhere from $60 to $90 a month for permitted multi-level parking. So we would have to be close to market rate because obviously someone's got to pay for this parking garage. But it would be well within the scope of whomever was the guaranteeing agency on this parking garage to have periods of time where perhaps rates would be lower and to allow people to use it if there were festivals or events to attract people downtown.
Would you use an existing contracting company, or would DDA facilitate it? I mean, who would be?
We are unsure as yet just who that entity would be. And that's why we're doing this financial feasibility study, because we would have to see all the numbers to see who it's going to have to be, who would step into that role. Or maybe it could be a partnership.
I hope if it do come to fruition, I don't take a back step to this, but I do want to be inclusive to make sure that our minority contractors and local contractors, private, have an opportunity. If it come to fruition, let's try to support the home team.
Absolutely.
And also some of our local minorities be included in the future of this project.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you for coming.
Happy to be here.
Mr. Epperson?
Mr. Chairman, could we suggest maybe that we take this to a committee?
Thank you.
And let's see, I don't think we don't have copies of the presentation, do we?
No, we don't.
I'll
get copies, and I think that's something we could, because we purchased that old Selby's garage out. So these are some things that we already kind of looking at. So I would suggest that we take that to a committee. Yes, sir. That's all I have.
I'll get bound copies to everybody for tomorrow.
All right. Ms. Lynch?
I think if we're going to take it to committee, I'll wait and do my questions then.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Cox?
We've had this discussion before, Liz.
I know you have. It's a discussion that keeps on giving.
I know. And every time I drive by some of these historic buildings that are owned by owners out of town that are falling in, that just literally ticks me off.
Amen.
Because we can't do anything about it seems like, but yet you're needing parking places. So what is the plan to go to these owners and say, take them to court, or whatever we have to do to give you more parking down, or give us more parking places down here in Shreveport. I can take you, and you know where they are more better than I do, but I know of at least 3 buildings that are just got boards around them, so people won't walk next to them and get hit by a brick. Is that in your plans to try to do something with these entities or these properties?
Yes, sir. There's a couple of different ways I'm going to answer you on that. One is the recently passed historic preservation ordinance gives the city some ability to fine those owners who allow demolition by neglect, which is what that's called, when you just let your building fall in because you want it to go to the ground or for whatever reason you may have. The city is going to have a little bit more teeth, and they can also do that with property standards, and I'm taking a ride with Dorothy Farnell with property standards on Wednesday to point out some buildings that I would love for them to fine people daily on, if they would be able to do that. The other part of that question is, one of the findings in this parking study, and again it goes back to how far are people willing to walk to get to a parking space. And in downtown Shreveport, just like in other cities in the South, when it's 100 degrees, you're willing to walk about a block and a half and consider it convenient parking. Some of these buildings that you're talking about are on the perimeter of downtown. So if they went to the ground and it became parking, that would not help Area 1 or Area 2. And certainly we don't want any building to fall in because the owner has just not done what the owner needs to do. We want to fight that aggressively. But the historic preservation ordinance will help us do that. We, again, will hopefully be in a position to make these owners think twice about allowing roofs to cave in and the building to come down.
Well, and my point, and that's my last deal on this, is that, we just had Mudbug Madness. And you had people parking as far over as here, the bus station, and by the Strand, and walking. So if they want to get someplace, I think they'll get there, especially with our festivals downtown. Everything's on the riverfront. Now with the developments that are pending or coming up that puts more living housing downtown, that's going to put pressure on your festival parking. So that's why I was saying some of these old buildings down on the riverfront could serve as a knock it down, put a building up for parking there. So
we're going to try our hardest not to knock anything down. We've got some spaces that are available now where we don't need to knock buildings down to construct some multi-level parking garages. And certainly these parking garages will also help when you have the farmers market and when you have Mudbug Madness and when you have events on the riverfront. But unfortunately, again, when you're talking about the buildings downtown in the Central Business District, when you're talking about Southern University, students are going to be unwilling to park on the riverfront and walk to Southern University. Or people who live at, say, new apartments that may be constructed at the Johnson Building are not going to walk the 4 blocks with their arms loaded with groceries to get to their apartment at the Johnson Building. And that's one thing that this group told us over and over again is don't assume because you've got some parking in this block, 2 blocks over, that it's going to transfer to this building, because it won't. People will see the no parking close to this building as no parking period, and they will opt not to work there, not to bring their business there, and not to live there. So they're the experts. They do it all over the country, and I'm willing to believe what they've told us on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yesterday.
In the figures you gave us about available parking spaces, how many of those spaces are metered parking?
I believe that we have about 800 meter parking in all of downtown, but in these 2 areas, I can get you the exact number. It's
that
actually
figure was
very
included?
few.
I mean, the meters are included in the figure?
Meter was included. Every single parking space, period, whether it was publicly available or not, was included in the study.
Okay, just an observation on my part, and you probably observed the same thing, but I understand where you would not want to admit it. The meters primarily should be for people coming down here on business, going to Government Plaza, going to business.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Employees of companies abuse the meters.
Yes.
Companies that should be leading the charge, or organizations that should be leading the charge on this, one of our partners in particular, Chamber, they have employees that feed the meters constantly. I watch them come out of the employee exit and feed the meters. That is wrong. So I think the approach to this is going to take a collaborative effort of a partnership between the city and the parish, the DDA, the DDU, the chamber, and the local business community to decide whether we're going to have some mechanism in place to allow the metered parking to be available for people coming down here on business and flowing rather than somebody tying it up all day, getting on the same page. And it seems to me, obviously, for what you're saying, there's three types of parking. You've got the people who will come down here to work and or go to school, like you use Southern Nursing School, okay? They'll walk a little further because it's their job. People that are going to want to reside here want to be real close, quite naturally. And then you've got the people who need to come down here for business purposes. If it's not convenient, they're going to try not to do business down here.
That's right.
So I would think that maybe you're on the right track in getting a cooperation. I think it's going to take more than just your organization to get this done, because at the same time, government doesn't want to do it. Government shouldn't do it. The private market should drive this thing, and the demand should be such that investors with investment capital will want to invest in these so they get a return on their investment. Government running parking garages or doing anything like that ends up subsidizing it, and it doesn't work. The prime example is just right over here where the southern campus is going to be. They're going to move it. They're going to have 450 students. Okay, that's fine. That cannot be the only use of that garage, okay, because you're not going to get a private investor to want to have any part of it, primarily because it's seasonal, and secondly because in this day and time with the economic concerns we have, it's volatile. Southern may not be here in Shreveport next year, nor LSU. You never know what they're going to do in Baton Rouge. So if we don't have a broad-based partnership doing this, I just think you're spinning your wheels. So that's my suggestion. We pull everybody we can together.
Absolutely. One of the things that you'll want to consider as we get farther along in this is it is important for municipalities to have some control over more parking than what you have now. Just because, again, that economic development angle.
Yeah, but let me follow up on this. That's a good question. I'll follow up on it if you don't mind. I've noticed, and I'm not saying I want to do like Bossier, but I hear people that you go to the convention center over there, they're having trade shows and all. The taxpayers in Bossier, they pay for the convention center, they pay for the parking lot, and guess what? They don't pay anything to park there. They don't pay anything they pay for it once. We pay for everything over here constantly. We're going to fund a garage. We're going to pay to use it, which we do. We've got the garage.
If you would pay for this garage, I guarantee it would be free.
But it would be free. What I'm saying is we have to find a balance. You understand? Because the people on this side of the river, we pay on our tax dollars. We pay to use it. It's just like a bone of contention. Not only with me personally, I've had other people say it. We voted to build a convention center and the garage and all, and then you got to pay every time you use it, and it's not even a user-friendly garage. I mean, it'd be different if it'd be easy to get. You got these machines. Nobody wants to deal with a machine. Where's the person taking your money, letting you the hell out of there? Instead of I missed the machine on the elevator, I got to walk all the way back over here and do my little thing. So we have to make it convenient as well. The boardwalk, as Michael is a prime example. Yeah, well, Bossier City paid for the parking garage. I mean, and it's free. But I don't necessarily think free works. I think public-private cooperation is the best. Because if it's going to be a white elephant, if we make a bad decision, if we make a bad choice, then we go down together. It's just not one entity.
I agree. 1,000%.
I want to remind everybody there'll be ample time to discuss this in the committee meeting.
That's the way to go.
Mr. Smith?
Liz, as you and I have talked many times, we got the problem not only in the cities, we got the problem out the city. There are two answers to this to take the property: adjudicated property and property taxes. And we can take it that way, and you know it.
Absolutely, and I'd love to talk to you about some of those issues.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynch?
I was going to save my questions, but after John talked so long, I might as well ask him.
Oh, well, don't bore us on my account.
Let me ask, how many spaces did you say that was one you all are looking at? How many
On
spaces?
Area 1, let's see, I think we were under about 450 50 in the next 5 years, and then Area 2.
For the multi-level garage, you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. Area 1, which is the
Spaces.
Southern University.
Okay, and who will the revenue go to?
I'm sorry, who will
the
the...
revenue from the parking garage?
It depends on how it's structured financially. It depends on who pays for it. It depends on the financial feasibility that we're going to get back. What I'm hoping to do, and I would love to present this to you as well, is develop a list of options on how to fund something like this.
And we can do that in the committee meeting.
You better believe we will. I'd love to do it in that committee.
Who's doing the financial feasibility study?
The parking study, Rich and Associates.
Okay.
They were so completely familiar with our downtown parking.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
All right. Thank you, Lois.
You want me gone, don't you? I'm leaving.
Go feed your meter.
She got one of them bags to go over the meter.
We have a recent economic development opportunity in the North Shreveport Industrial Park. I'd like to have Mr. Glass come forward and kind of give you an idea of what's happening with this venture. It's economic development in the North Shreveport Industrial Park.
Yes. We had some good news. North Shreveport Industrial Park, Commissioner Johnson's district, WSP Chemical and Technology out of Pennsylvania is acquiring the closed Chimera chemical plant. WSP Chemical is a member of the ChemLogix group. I think they are out of California. Chimera Chemical bought that plant from Vulcan Chemical in 2003 and then ceased production in 2004. The plant's been idle since then. And the parish and the city has been supportive of trying to get Chimera to sell that so that we can get some activity out there in that park. Initially, they should employ about 60 people. Kevin Frederick is the president and owner of WSP Chemical and Technology, noted that the hourly employees should start around $20 an hour, and salaried employees will start about $60,000 a year. He also noted that he'd like to have the production up and running in the next 90 days, although that we all sort of laughed about that, but that's what their goal is. The plant is located now on a little over 8 acres in the park. They've already contacted us and the city about acquiring more acreage close by, and this would be the second company to locate that park in the last year. High Capacity Coil, if y'all remember, bought 7 acres out there and have already built a facility and are operating out of it right now. Got any questions?
Mr. Cox?
How many people are they planning on employing?
Well, initially you said 60, but they anticipate it growing. They've got some longer range plans, but a lot of it's due to the size of the plant that that's why they're looking at expanding too. But initially when they start off, he says they'll have 60 or more people.
And they took this building simply because it matches basically the same system that they have, and they just another
Correct.
division.
It's already set up for what they do.
Right.
Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ride out there from time to time just to look at the park, to make sure the park is, to me, up to standards. And got a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done out there. Last time I went out there, there was sofa and love seat and some more junk just blocking the road off. So in order for us to get businesses to come into the park, it has some kind of curb appeal.
Yes, sir.
So I think we need to use some of that money that we use to clear the timber off with to go in and do some landscaping and beautification to the park.
We're working right now trying to get some of the timber cut and thinned out there, but we have to work with the city because the city owns half of the park, we own half of the park, and we have several boards we have to go through, but those are our plans to get that cleaned up and looking a lot nicer out there.
Yes, I believe the commission gave authorization for us to put some of the money back into the parks.
Right.
Yeah, a year ago.
Pardon me?
A year ago.
I guess it's taking a year to get through these boards to get the timber cut as well.
That is unreal. That's
That's the reality that we deal with. I was up there last Friday looking at it myself, Commissioner Johnson, and made the same observation. So as soon as we can get the timber start getting it cut, we'll go ahead and clean the park up as well. So we want to do that. It's not moving as fast as we like to, but if it was owned by Caddo Parish, we would have had it done by now.
Yes, sir. That's all I had.
Mr. Escudero, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Mike. Refresh my memory. We own property in that park, and so does the city. Those are divided interests. We own separate property, or do we have some undivided interest in property
It's
along
half
with
and
them?
half. Inside the park that's subdivided, outside the park, some land on the other side of the highway. We own 100% of about 130 acres or so, and the city and us own another 130 acres.
Because you have both undivided interest and divided interest with the city.
Correct.
The timber we obviously been talking about was in our undivided interest portion. Is why we've been working 3 years to get them to cut the timber out there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's been 3 years. We still have not cut that timber?
Not yet. Barry, we cut the timber yet?
We cut some.
Contract is signed, but a standard contract gives the warehouse 18 months. I'm looking for them to get it this summer when it's dry out.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. And then I think, we have discussed several times that we take that money, it's not a whole lot of money, reinvest it right in cleaning up the frontage and the appearance of that park to make it more attractive for marketing purposes. Jesus Christ. I suggest that once we get our economic development entity stood up, that our proper committee may want to meet, and we may want to go ahead and take this park and divide our interests into separate divided interests so that we can act on prospects when they're hot and instead of having to go through all that stuff, that not necessarily to delay and lose projects, but that's just my thoughts on that. So, but we have both types of property. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes, we had gotten an email, I think it was Friday or maybe Saturday, about Senate Bill 530 from Mayor Glover. And I just wanted to report that that bill passed after 3 attempts today. The first $200,000 is going to go to the city of Shreveport, and the balance, which has been averaging about $230,000, is going to come to the parish. And that's provided that the taxpayers, vote to have that 3% charge put on rental car fees.
President Thibodeau, I just had a couple more things.
That passed. We'll go and finish because I have a question for you.
Okay. Certainly, Commissioners, we received a request about a week or so ago from the Library Board on a budgetary matter that the administration didn't necessarily support. So we made a written report back to the Director of the Library System, and I'll copy you in the letter as well. So this is our response to their initial idea, and it's self-explanatory, so I will not go into the details of the letter. I just want to also make you aware that Mr. Angelo Rapolo is in the Grace Home at the Shumpert Medical Center, and he's a well-known statesman in our community, and I appreciate you praying for him as he deals with some illnesses that he's going on. That concludes my report for today, sir.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes, I had a question about the letter here to the Library Board.
Yes, ma'am.
And we had another instance, and I think this was the last meeting where we had something similar that happened with the Housing Authority, a letter that was sent out, but particularly on this one, it's something that would have to come to the commission for. Is this something that would ultimately have to come to the commission for a vote?
Actually, let me defer that question to Erica, because I know the library budget is, we approve their budget as part of our budget, and that's what brought our concern to this matter.
Right.
So let me direct that question to Ms. Bryant, see if she can answer for us. Is that a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner, if the library wanted to do any borrowing, the commission would have to approve for them to borrow, because you're actually borrowing in the commission's name, because the library is under the commission.
Well, let me suggest this, because my concern is anything that the commission ultimately has to vote on is a decision that should be made by the commission.
Right, the letter
and I want to make sure, I understand, but let me finish. I want to make sure before we take a public position on something, and I know sometimes the administration and the commission don't necessarily agree, but before it's put out there, and then it either looks like we have to do something different from the administration is doing something different from what the will of the commission is. If it's something that ultimately has to be decided by the commission anyway, I would just suggest that that matter be brought to the commission body in the committee can discuss how we want to handle it.
I understand.
So that if you all's recommendation is either, that if it's changed or if it's agreed to, we've done that before we send out correspondence. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Now, I understand what you're saying. I will say they have not decided to
The methodology.
pursue interim. They just had a question as to whether or not they wanted to know for the particular project they have for the new administration building.
Right.
And determining how they're going to finance that building. At some point, they have to make that determination, and they have to determine whether it's going to be interim or long-term borrowing.
Right.
And so
right, I understand that they call and ask the question, but this is basically a position being taken that ultimately that the commission makes the decision on, and I just want to make sure that when we go out, as much as possible, that we're together, and that we've had an opportunity to discuss it before it goes to the library board. Because I don't know. I mean, I'm reading this, but I don't know what. It really doesn't talk about what they're trying to use it for. Any of that information that we probably would have gotten in committee. And other questions that we may have had to make a decision together, as opposed to, particularly if it's something that we have to vote on anyway. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Cox. Change of pace. I need Mr. Everett up here on a question for animal control.
I assume we've moved to communications and reports then. Which is fine.
That'd be good. Moving along. We'll get to our regular business soon.
I'm ready.
Had a call from Ms. Wheeler on Chipper Lane.
Yes, sir.
Was there an incident out there where the same gentleman, Mr. William Hadley, from years back, is doing the same thing he was doing 2-3 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Is he, and y'all confiscated all of his animals, or what?
Yes, sir. What happened was he has a dangerous dog.
He has plenty of dangerous dogs.
That we declared dangerous. The dogs got out. He has 4 Rottweilers. All 4 of them got out through a hole in the fence. They were running around. Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office arrived on scene first. The dog charged the officer, and the officer shot the dog in the head and killed it. Mr. Haldy, in return, arrived home, and he signed all the dogs over, the 3 remaining dogs, to us, and we have them in our custody.
Okay.
So he doesn't have any dogs in his possession right now. He signed them over, and they're officially Caddo Parish property.
His wife has dogs. She has the puppies of the female dog y'all got, from what I understand. Neither here nor there. My question is, I remember a case years ago where we brought a resident in front of the board and said that they were unfit to be have animals. What's keeping us from doing that to this gentleman?
There's nothing legally that we can do to put a situation on a person where they cannot own an animal. Now, Mr. Haldy, the animals that were in question have been seized by us. So if he goes out behind it and picks up another dog, there's no stipulation in the law that says that he can't own another animal, because this animal hasn't violated any law and hasn't got out and caused any harm in the public.
Oh, we're not talking about the animal as a whole. I'm talking about the individual who cannot, over a period of time of years, has shown his inability to do what's right for not only the neighbors, but for the animals. Now, there's kids that are in that neighborhood. These dogs were chasing the kids.
Yes, sir.
I would be a firm believer that officer did what he had to do the other day when he put that one down.
Yes, sir.
But I will not sit here, and I hope you will not either, because I know you do a good job. But I will not sit here and let this gentleman bring in more dogs, whether they're Rottweilers, Pits, Beagles, I don't care what they are. And one of these kids on that street get mauled because he is unable to do his job as a pet owner. What can we do? Or is there anything we can do?
Well, sir, you would have to put something on the books to try to govern that, but I don't know legally, I don't know anywhere in the other country that you can ban an individual from having an animal unless he is trained the dog to attack in a manner where the dog is used as a weapon in sort of a felony type situation where he's using it in an aggressive manner. But this particular situation, the dog was deemed dangerous. We did respond appropriately. The dogs got out. We did respond. One of the dogs were killed in the process. But to come back and say that this gentleman cannot have a dog, I think we're going to be trying to, put something on there that'll be undue in that situation, because he can be rehabilitated in the process where he may put some things in place to prevent the dogs from getting out. I don't know that we can do that.
Now, I can tell you, and then we'll get together on it, because this gentleman over the last few years has done the same thing year in and year out. When they take his dogs, is he getting these dogs back?
No, sir. He signed them over to us, and the dogs will be disposed of. We will not return the dogs back to Mr. Haldy. In this particular situation, Mr. Haldy realized that he was wrong. We issued summons based on, the violations of the ordinance. We can put some teeth in it because his dangerous dog was supposed to be within a fence that's inside of another fence, but that dog got out. Yeah. Now, if we could fine him or put civil penalties in place, then that'll be another tool that we can utilize to curb this type of behavior. But to say that he can't own a dog, I don't know legally that we can pursue that type of action.
Well, if you don't mind, call him back, because it was under my understanding that he lives on one side of the property, his wife lives on the other side of the property, which is marriage made in heaven. But if you can, she's got 3 pups from that mother. Those 3 pups need to be picked up. No, those 3 pups need to be picked up.
I understand, sir, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. The law is no respect of person, neither am I. We're going to do our job. If you violate the law, we're going to be out there and take care of the situation. But for me to go and invade this woman's home and take her puppies that did not violate the law would be out of question, and I can't do that.
Well, there's a hole in the law, and the day that this man does it again, and a child gets mauled again,
yes, sir,
we're going to have a problem at Caddo Parish.
I understand, sir, and we're not going to take safety, public safety lightly. We're not going to do that. We're going to monitor Mr. Haldy. We will talk to his wife, make her aware of your concerns, but we cannot impose our will in a negative manner to that family. We just cannot do that.
Okay, we're not going to solve this here today, so if y'all could get together maybe after the meeting or another time. Because we're not going to solve it today.
Well, we're not going to solve it, but I am going to tell the constituents out in that area that if those dogs are out, before they get to you,
call us, sir, we will definitely take care of that situation.
If they feel threatened by those dogs, to take the matter into their own hands.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Bowman?
Yes, sir. It has nothing to do with that. I was addressing this issue with the library.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thought Mr. Pelton retired.
Yes, ma'am. He retired, and he's working for them part-time. And and he's also providing them financial information, Commissioner Bowman. And that's what his capacity is right now. He's handling their finances for them. My God. And we think the actions that they're taking right now is detrimental to the library in terms of them spending their reserves. So we just want to raise a flag and say, perhaps think another way to do your project without exhausting your reserve, because they are tied to us when it comes time to looking at us for the bar rating. The libraries are part of that. So we just suggest, friendly through this letter, consider another way of doing that. There are other options they can use that wouldn't be detrimental to them financially.
When did he come back?
He retired about 3 years ago and came back within 6 months.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Wilson, in reference to the Sylvania issue, could you submit a letter to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, whoever may be in authority, and with the following request the status relative to Mr. Bork's presentation to them, cost of the chemical that's used in spraying, where it's purchased, who has the contract, and the cost that that the state has incurred from the inception of spraying up to the present date, and the chemical composition. Is there any potential for long or short-term harm to wildlife, fish, or plants, if you would, even if we have to go with a public records request?
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Escalade? Yes, I just want to follow up on the library issue. Thank you, Ms. Feldman. As Mr. Jefferson said, sometimes great minds think alike. Yeah, I had the same question. Mr. Pelton retired. He handpicked his successor and came and introduced him to us before we even had a chance to meet the man. We had nothing to do with that. I'm sure he had board approval. I want us to find out when the board approved the rehiring of Mr. Pelton, how long he's been there, what he's been paid, why he's double dipping. Why we're presenting somebody else in this parish who does not have a job, who's in their peak earning years, and his family support, being denied an opportunity with somebody else who's just padding his retirement. This is what's wrong with this state, and it's what's wrong with this old boy, buddy stuff going on around here, and I want to find out, and then once we find out, if we need to shake the board up, maybe we need to shake the board up. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Well, I was going to hold my comment. However, no, it's my understanding that the books were so messed up that it needed him to interpret.
But he didn't want to do it. Robert and Cherry heard about the Roy Investor. Yeah. You let the one who screwed up come fix it?
Right.
Yeah.
And
I got it.
That's the reason behind doing that.
Where are the reporters? I hope y'all pay attention. something you can look into. There you go. Where's Nick at night for Channel 3? I never see Nick here. All right.
Committee reports.
The equipment. Yeah, what is it? Been me there,
Just for the record, the Caddo Parish Commission had nothing to do with the books. You know,
I know.
So we don't maintain the
Yeah, straight. There's no president's report. Any other business?
Order, Mr. President.
Oh, where'd y'all come from? Good grief.
Well,
It was empty a minute ago, Mr. Johnson.
Since Steve is here, I want to ask him about the affordable fence. The update since May 22nd passed. Okay.
He's going big on that.
Did you have one for Thursday? Sorry. That was all I had.
Ms. Lynch?
No, I'm fine.
Dominic?
I would like to englobe the reigning new business to first.
Second.
We got a motion to englobe under new business, everything?
Everything.
Well, Chair, we do have, Ms. Elkins, and they're in the audience.
I did not have a card. Did y'all want to speak?
Where is he?
You sure?
Watching government do its
He's
work.
doing, whoa,
Please vote.
Who made the motion in the second?
I made the motion.
And who seconded?
Second by, Ms. Bowman.
I have a question.
Question by Ms. Lynch. Go ahead.
Because we were going to be getting some additional information from KTBS today.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Elder, do you have the information we talked about in committee?
They did not ask to speak or anything.
I know, but is some additional information forthcoming?
We don't have the paperwork. I just found out about the meeting this morning.
Okay.
Exactly what information that you need.
Ms. Elkin has the request from Ms.
I wanted to know, I think.
No, we can come to the mic.
Yeah, come to the mic, because
And then we want it in paper now, where everybody can have it.
We can get you on the KTBS camera.
Thanks.
Hi, Jane. There's been some conversation today about some questions posed, and Commissioner Baker was going to, I think she indicated that you all had some additional information.
I did say last week we would be happy to get that information from our accounting department, but I did not know it. I do think Station Manager George Servin probably knows it. I think Commissioner Escadade was asking the amount of money that we had spent and the amount of money that we had collected so far this year. I gave you a figure of $80,000, and George told me last week it was a little bit higher than that. our expenses, and I think Mr. Escudade was asking why we were asking for $25,000 when I had said we were spending right over $100. We're really spending based on the talent we get. If we're able to get a higher paid talent, then that's what we'll do with the additional funds. You all gave a recommendation of Windstorm, and I've talked to them, and I told them I didn't know if we could pay, and they did tell me what they are charging, so I do have that information that I didn't have the other day. Any other questions you have regarding the accounting and those bills or those monies, I would defer to Mr. Servin.
We're going to have a chance to vote on this in our meeting.
Right, this motion here is just to move it.
Yeah, we can.
All right, but, well, there were some additional questions, and maybe when Commissioner Baker gets back, she can get that
Feel free, I'll be glad to
information.
answer anything that I can, but the accounting information, those are the things I may not know. Any other questions?
I think that was it, thank you.
One thing, thank you for checking with Windstorm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll be there now.
Mr. Johnson.
And,
I do have one question.
okay.
Since this event is for the parish and the city and people of whole, have you all reached out to the other broadcasts, Channel 12, Channel 6?
Well, I'll be glad to give you just a brief history on that. Channel 12 had this event for years with the city of Shreveport. They are the ones who went to the city and said, we're not going to be able to do it anymore. We've not investigated as to why that happened, but the mayor came to us and said, if you all don't do it, we won't have it. We do have a collaboration with the radio station in connection with this event. But as far as a TV station, we were respectful of Channel 12's event when it was their time to have it, and when they dropped out, we said we would step up and take on the challenge. And it has been challenging, but we appreciate your consideration. And I believe Mr. Williams and Ms. Bowman, you all asked about diversity. And after our meeting, I did find out from Mr. Servin that we have another act that will be coming with Colin Ray that I think you all will be very, very pleased with. Any other questions?
Now me and the District 1 rep, we sing pretty good.
I'd pretty well cancel it
If we defer that to committee.
I will sing if you dance.
Cast your vote, please, if you haven't already. What will we vote on, global?
Yes,
Dance logo, to move
everything new.
Everson and Escudade.
Mine not showing anything.
All right, okay.
That's everybody in the chamber.
That's everybody in the chamber.
You showing me, Ty? Oh,
That's everybody in the chamber.
All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that passes. No, so that was 7. 10.
10 out.
8, 9, 10, okay. Two out of the room right now. Okay, well, that's a consent agenda, and then adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
All right, we're adjourned.